welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Wild Over You, and with me today is someone that's wild over this cartoon, is my good friend Essie McPeter. Say hi.
Yes.
I reckon the whole review will just start talking in fake French, yeah? Because I think that's what the audience demands, right?
I guess I get to go ruin all that French I took for one semester.
You know, Je m'appelle Anthony. I don't know the basics. But anyway, so just a few bits of info to get out of the way. So as mentioned, this is Wild Over You, released on the 11th of July 1953. It's the 684th of the series, and it's directed by Chuck Jones. You can find this short on the Looney Tunes Superstars Pepe Le Pew DVD set, which contains all Pepe Le Pew shorts on one disc, for better or worse. And there is a HD version lurking around as well, which is what I'll be using for this review. I can't show you the cartoon on YouTube due to it being under copyright. If I try and upload it, it will get deleted. So you'll have to look elsewhere, such as the description in my video, which gives you the link on actually buying the set. But in case you haven't seen it, well, look, it is your typical Pepe Le Pew short, but with a few differences. In this one, we're at the Paris World's Fair. We see that the wildcat has escaped. The wildcat is about to be caught, but disguises herself as a skunk. Pepe Le Pew shows up, and, well, if you've seen any other Pepe Le Pew short, you know what's going to happen. Though, thankfully, this one has a few minor twists, and thank goodness for that.
I like it.
A few bits of trivia here. This is the first Maurice Noble credited Pepe Le Pew short, so now we're going to see if things get really stylized, which is something we'll no doubt get into in this review as we go along. And we even see the great Abe Levitot in the credits. And the weirdest thing is that he's worked on this short, which is very stylized, you know, but Abe Levitot, along with Chuck Jones in secret, worked on Gay Paris, which is a UPA film that came out a few years later, so it's interesting to compare the two in that way. And a few things that were interesting here, so you got the sign saying pâté de foie gras, that's a play on the French delicacy, which I probably butchered the name, but it is fattened goose or duck liver paste, so they would force feed the goose or duck until the stomach more or less explodes, and yeah, it's pretty gruesome, but apparently it's a delicacy that's actually protected over there as something that's a long-standing tradition. So there's that.
No wonder the French are so weird.
I've tried pate once, and it wasn't really for me, but as with anything, I guess you can give it a go. I mean, if it's already there, I don't
Just
know.
like Pepe says at the end of the cartoon.
Exactly. So we get a few historical figures that we see. Of course, we see Napoleon. Of course, we're going to see Marie Antoinette. That's a no-brainer there. We see Le Chic, and I'm trying to find the reference to that, and I'm probably wrong here. Let me know in the comments if you think it's otherwise, but I believe it's a reference to the book and movie from the 1920s called The Chic, starring Rudolph Valentino. Again, I could be wrong, although if it is that, then it creates this weird anachronism where this is set in 1900, and yet the film had come out and book came out 2 decades later, but whatever. Who cares? We see Daniel Boone as Danielle Boone, so there's that. But I don't believe the TV series that Walt Disney did happened until much later in the decade. And of course, there's another famous figure that they probably would have used if this came out a few years later.
Yeah, they would have probably have used Davy Crockett had this been made a little later, because that became a big hit late 1954, all through 55, with the 5 Walt Disney episodes. And some people tried capitalizing off that by the whole interest in the frontier by using Daniel Boone instead. So I guess it still worked. But again, we're talking about something that was made before that.
Yeah, exactly. There's also Dame Madame Pompadour, and that's the chief mistress of King Louis XV. And I do like the pun there. 2-door sedan. Beautiful. You know, 2-door sedan, 2-door cut. Yeah, whatever. Okay, in case you guys didn't get that, all right? That's what the pun is there. And speaking of another pun, we see Le Hall de l'Amour, like obviously Hall of Armor, but l'amour is love. So L'amour, toujours l'amour is the title of the song. So it's like a nice little pun there. Very clever writing in this one, including one of my favorites. Instead of Ali Baba, we have Ali Jaja. Perfect. Chef's kiss to that, of course. And finally, and just as important, this is a rare Pepe Le Pew short that has no Penelope in it, and I do like that they were at least considering experimenting with a different character other than this Penelope cat that was in the past few shorts. But why they go back to Penelope, I don't know. Maybe the audiences prefer it. I don't know.
It was a way to deviate from the norm of this cartoon by using a wildcat. Although, again, that provides new gags, as we'll touch upon.
Exactly. Now, the setting of this short, so it's the Exposition Universelle of 1900. Again, I'm butchering the French language. I do apologize to any of my French fans out there. But that really was an event, and that was like the World's Fair, similar to like the New York had the World's Fair at one stage.
It was a World Fair.
Yeah. And they built some major structures for this World's Fair, and it was basically a display of visions of the future, sort of new technologies and a celebration of, I guess, humanity and that kind of thing. And they even built things like the Paris Metro Line 1, which is still in use today, the Grand Palais, and many other structures. So this has a basis in reality. So there you are. In case you're wondering, did they just make up for this short? No, this really did happen. Maybe not in the way the cartoon depicts it, but it's still the same event, of course. So, looking at this short, now, I do get kind of weary of going, oh, okay, another Pepe Le Pew, because I think I was turned off by watching that Pepe Le Pew DVD, where I watch all of them in a row, which I do not recommend you do. They blend in together, they get dull, they get boring.
It's the same with the Hippity Hopper set. Those are two good companions if you want to torture someone.
Well, to be fair on the Hippity Hopper, at least you get some variety there. They change things up often enough that at least you get some sort of differences there. But here, it's very little variety. But thankfully, this is one of the better ones, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a cat that keeps scratching up Pepe violently, and he's all for it.
Yeah, so we all know what Pepper's into, of course.
What a kinky skunk.
Exactly. So looking at this short from start to finish, look, when it opens up, one thing I noticed about that Pepe Le Pew drawing in the very beginning is that, I mean, that's clearly a Chuck Jones drawing. That's just a raw, unaltered Chuck Jones without anyone else touching it.
It looks like he
eating
did paint. It looks like he painted it too. It
Yeah.
looks a lot more like his later stuff as well. Maybe because of the rendering, but again, even the eyes look later.
Yeah, so it looks like something that he did in the 90s because he did a whole bunch of limited edition paintings and cells and stuff through the Chuck Jones Enterprises. And his style, some people like it, some don't. But I think regardless of what you think about him, you can't deny that this definitely looks very similar to what was done in the 90s.
Yeah, except it's not as obnoxiously cute.
I like most of it. Some maybe not as much as others, but I do hope to own one of those one of these days. Hopefully one that's also signed by Chuck as well. So fingers crossed, I'll get there. Now, say what you want about this short and Pepe Le Pews in general, but at least with this one, you watch it, it is stunning. This cartoon looks so beautiful, and especially now in HD with the version that's lurking around, my goodness, it captures the turn of the century Paris very well.
Yeah, you get those nice pink skies that I mentioned. You get some very nice, colorful imagery, and you begin to see Chuck Jones is stylizing the humans a lot. If you look at the crowds heading towards the exposition, you'll notice that a lot of them are a lot more stylized than before. This is sort of the beginning of Chuck going all with stylization now that it's becoming the norm.
Exactly. Now, he did start this stylization of making humans look kind of weird and different over in the previous Pepe Le Pew short. He did a lot of stylization that was Little Bo Pepe. He then did it again in Forward March Hare, but here he goes the next step, in my opinion. He goes all out.
These are really good art shorts. I think Maurice Noble and Jones were putting a lot of their all into the art of these shorts rather than the writing, because Michael Maltese is, of course, writing these fair enough, and he's pleasing Chuck Jones with them, of course, but you can sort of tell that a lot of it is focusing on just making Paris as beautiful as possible.
And honestly, this short is another full circle moment for Chuck because he did the Dover Boys and he got told off for it, basically not to do that again. Honestly, the first half of this short, at least, feels like a spiritual successor to the Dover Boys with the way the humans are animated. If you compare the two, very similar. At least that's what I think anyway.
One thing I'm going to give credit to Chuck Jones, the design of the World's Fair is very accurate because it actually was on the water. You actually had to go across a bridge next to the Eiffel Tower to actually go through it. So They did some good research trying to capture the feeling of the exposition de Universidad de 1900
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
butcher voice.
Yes. If we ever went to France, we'd blend in nicely, wouldn't we, with our with flawless accents, of course. But
We
so we're at this World's Fair, and I love this is one of the underrated bits of this short, by the way. But I love how Mel Blanc. So he does the voice of a barker, which he does very well in other shorts. But he does the barker voice, but he does it French style. It's hilarious. I thought that was a really neat little touch. The whole hurry, 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 but he does it French. Which okay, sure, why not? Why not?
Les grands tours d'Ozu, je te les commence. Avec. Si les animaux très ferocious, rar, rar. Les girafes très tolles, les pygmies très short. Un franc.
So we see various bits and pieces until we end up at Les Zoo, which this part is kind of hard to watch when you know the reality of how animals were kept in zoos at the time. I mean, these days, zoos are more about the conservation efforts. They've got wide open fields and a lot more space, at least in most parts of the world. Sadly, it's not in some parts. But anyway, back then, animals were just seen as amusement. Oh, look at this
Yeah.
animal, and you might see a tiger, and the tiger might be just in a small cage and be really fat, and because they're not doing anything.
Like the elephant in this cartoon in the background.
Yeah, I mean, look, the cages look nice and everything, but when you see those animals, I'm sort of like, yeah,
Those are for birds, not beast.
exactly. And I get what they're doing here, and I'm not going to blame Chuck or anything
Yeah.
for it, but looking
This
at
is just what it
now,
was.
exactly. But anyway, at least they make up for it with Le Hyena and the Le Hyena haha, which I lost it at that. But Mel Blanc's response, you would think there'd be like a high pitched laugh or whatever, which is what a hyena does, but it's like he just goes ha ha Le haha. That caught me off guard. I thought that was hilarious.
Les hyena, ha. Les ha.
These shorts can get kind of annoying with all the le, can get a little bit annoying, but it is funny at some particular points.
Yeah, and here I think they got it just right. They're
Yeah.
not so overbearing, which is good. So we then start our story more or less when we get the setup. Oh no, the wild cat has escaped, and everyone's just going crazy.
We get some nice overhead shots of the landscapes of everyone right away that are very nice.
Les loups, les waxtraits, les waxtraits, ridez-vous on les bandits, les waxtraits.
We see the newspaper, and I just love this design of the wildcat. It's so beautiful. I would put money on that design being done by Abe Levito.
It's possible they had some input. This is one of his first cartoons. I don't know if he would have necessarily had too much input yet on anything besides animation, but it's possible.
I would say that's Abe Levito, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think that that's the case or if I'm just talking crazy or whatever.
It's certainly
right?
the beginning of stylizing the animal designs in the cartoons. They didn't stylize them as much as that because they were using very established characters by this point. You couldn't necessarily stylize them too much, but here you begin seeing Jones apply the eyes that he would be using going forward. He's using very slick line work.
Yeah, exactly. Even looking at the newspaper still, I do wonder what French text they used for part of it, because again, it's just space filler. They never intended anyone to actually sit there and
They
read
usually
it
use
in the
Warner
cinema.
Club News for space fillers and newspapers, but one has to wonder where they got it from, of course.
Yeah, so maybe they were cheeky and went to the library and ripped a French book or something and didn't tell anyone. I don't know, but I don't know
Hey,
where
we're
it
making
came
a
from.
funny cartoon here. Can we rip up one of your French books?
Sure, I don't get paid enough. Sure, why not?
But yeah, look at this catcher and the hound. It's very stylized. And the inking too on the dog. It's a colored ink, which they didn't usually do much. And here, again, it plays in the stylization.
And what kind of dog is that? It's
Looks like a very weirdly stylized hound. Can't tell what breed it is, but the baggy eyes make you want to think it's some sort of hound or whatever it is.
yeah.
But again, it's very stylized. Only the cape and the legs are moving on the dog catcher and his net, of course. But again, it's a very stylized pose and the movement too. So Chuck is again starting to go all in. And he, of
Yeah.
course, gets more and more of that freedom to go more ambitious as these go on.
And channeling the Dover Boys as well, which again, this definitely reminds me of that. And the animation of the Wildcat too, just slinking over, fantastic. Again, not only is the design great, but the
That
animation,
really funny walk cycle of her.
yes, fantastic. And She's smart too. She's like, okay, I'm going to paint myself as a skunk. So she's a smart wildcat. And I really don't blame her for escaping her cage because, she needs to be free. She's a wild animal, hence wildcat. I just like that design. I actually, if I'm being honest, I would have rather they kept with this character instead of Penelope. Not that I hate the Penelope character, but I don't know. I think this one's more
It
interesting.
provides more comical, but then it would have just become a 4 after then. So I'm glad they stuck it to just one.
They could have, instead of having Penelope again, they could have just done other, cats or creatures or
Yeah, they could have done a bit more who Pepe was going with. Because again, these are Chuck's most repetitive shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Although they function under discipline like other Chuck series, but it's always nice when he's trying something a little different. Like here, again, it's a wildcat that, as we see Pepe coming into first flirt with her, she violently tears him apart, and he's into it.
And he actually is happy about it. I mean, first of all, he enters the scene singing Billy Boy in his own way, of course. He's got to sing some sort of a song when he enters, right?
And then he holds his pose, and then he smears over there, again, channeling Dover Boys.
Yep. And the look of confusion of that wildcat's hilarious. I absolutely love that.
I don't know who animated it. It might have been Ken Harris, but I wish I knew more about the animators than I do with Jones. Because again, they're all really talented, and they all have their great way of doing things. But I believe this would be Ken Harris because it's a big acting scene, of course.
Yeah, it's a great scene. And of course, Ken Harris, master animator for the Chuck Jones unit at the time.
Master at speed.
Yep, exactly. But here, again, we get something different. This cat attacks Pepe, and Pepe says, I like it. And later on, he says, and I knew that was coming, but he says, flirt. So, yeah, some might look at this sort of humor as being dated, and some may not feel comfortable with it. I totally get it. So, don't think that we're watching a short like this and we're saying that, hey, this sort of baby is acceptable or whatever.
We're just saying it's good that Pepe is getting it.
Yes. So in this case, Pepe's getting what he deserves. He's just a sick little skunk. And he should find someone who likes what he likes, if you get my meaning. And I won't go into more details. So we see the tent. Ali Jaja, again, chef's kiss, beautiful.
I imagine this was an actual exhibit there.
Something like that. The whole foreign, mystical, from the Far East scenario. Oh, how quaint. They wear different clothes from us. So there must be... Yeah, anyway. So we see Pepe walk past. She thinks she's safe, but he just happens to be in the tent, which I thought was pretty funny. And we end up seeing Pepe Le Pew in a top hat and a cape. I mean, what do you think of that look? That would have been how a lot of the upper class would have dressed at the time.
Almost reminded me of Bugs at the beginning of Mississippi Heron a little bit, where he's dressed up as the hotshot rich guy.
Yeah. And the rest of this short is just pretty much Pepe going after Wildcat, Wildcat trying to hide again, Pepe showing up. So I would say that the first half was really good artistically, and it was very interesting. But then the second half, after the first few times where we see the Wildcat attacking Pepe, it does get a little bit repetitive.
And although there's a nice little setting with the Museum of Historical Figures of the past century, I believe, we go and see the wax figures. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And of course, we're still very beautiful backdrops, but here we know what's going to happen.
And because you know what's going to happen, it makes the short less interesting gag-wise, because thankfully, they try and mix it up. They try and make a few twists. They try and make it interesting.
At least the twist of giving Pepe what he deserves is at least funny enough of itself that it doesn't happen again.
And we get some nice animation. We get the nice backgrounds, of course, and the puns that I've already mentioned before with Toujours l'Amour and the Pompadour gag, the two-door sedan. Again, beautiful. Love that. But Pepe really likes this wildcat. It's like, Pepe, get some help, please. But we see that beautiful animation of the wildcat just being so exhausted, slinking away. I get the context is, for some people, it's hard to watch. It's not funny in that, but it's still great animation, I think. And Pepe's just all confident, bouncing along, and she's just slinking away. And she tries to escape in the flying balloon, but where does Pepe end up? He's in the flying balloon too. And we just end there. So...
And we get that line that was planned for the ending of The Stupid Cupid. That didn't happen because it read too homosexual.
If you have not tried it, do not knock it.
That's what Daffy says at the end. But I think it was actually cut before its original release.
But it just sort of ends. I get the punchline, I suppose. It didn't do much for me in that sense, but whatever.
Well, it's your typical Pepe Le Pew short with the nice twist of the Wildcat. And it's a bit more exciting to watch than normal. Of course, there's the beautiful Paris that is going to become a customary of these shorts. And we get a lot of lele, we get a lot of the wordplay. It's a nice little break of pace for the Pepe Le Pew shorts.
Yeah, it's just a shame that I love the first half. And even,
And then
I
it
mean,
just becomes a backlog of gags.
At least
That's a bad thing, but there's not enough variety to get
Mm.
you as interested as other ones.
exactly. Look, this gets 8 out of 10, and that's mainly because of how beautiful this short looks. I still recommend people watch it for that reason. And hey, maybe you'll find it more funnier than I did in the end. But my goodness, I could look over this short, I could freeze frame this thing, and I love the way it looks. And again, it's a nice little contrast to a few years later where they make gay puree over at UPA's.
I'm going to rate this one a 7.5 because it is pretty average for Jones, but that's also, again, a high average.
Yeah,
At least it isn't a misfire by any means.
exactly. No, it's not a bad short. It's just same old, same old. At least they do put some variety in here, which makes it at least interesting. So there's that. But that will do it for us for this review. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And until next time, take care.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
If you have not tried it, do not knock it.